Uso de la palabra James. James, welcome to Mexico. Nos va a acompañar la compañera Brenda Guzmán en la parte de la traducción. Welcome. Thank you very much.
Hola. That's all the Spanish I know. Turn it on.
Yeah, sorry. Okay,
This
well,
is my official
yeah.
translator.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to be helping with a few questions if you have for James, so you can start.
Well, I can tell you a brief. This is supposed to be about comics and comic book storytelling, not specifically The Crow. I mean, comic books and jazz music are the only two 100% American art forms.
It's very interesting. Why do you mean?
Everything else came from somewhere else in the world, but comic books and jazz music were invented specifically in America first.
Ok, él está comparando el cómic con la música jazz y dice que el cómic y el jazz son creaciones 100% americanas.
And comic books have, a lot of people compare comic books to films. And they do bear a lot of similarities with films, but there are also, it's an art form unto itself because there are a lot of restrictions.
Okay, mucha gente compara el cómic con las películas por las similitudes que tienen de las historias, pero que también hay muchas restricciones entre uno y otro.
Yeah, comic books are much more demanding than films, and they demand that you participate.
El comic book, el reto de un cómic, a diferencia de una película, es que es más demandante, ya que ustedes tienen que ser parte del cómic.
Because you're supplying the voices for all the characters, you're supplying the sound effects, you're reading them, but in your head, you're supplying those things. You're supplying movement on the page because they're static images. And music if you're so inclined, a certain comic book may suggest a type of music, so it demands participation from the reader.
Okay. El cómic demanda participación de ustedes, ya que ustedes crean las voces de los personajes, ustedes crean los sonidos que ven en las imágenes, ustedes inclusive le pueden dar un soundtrack dependiendo del tipo de cómic que estén leyendo.
And there are a lot of basic rules for comic books. The good thing is that a lot of those translate to film if you want to work in film. So I guess we can show. Is there like a?
¿Tienen las imágenes?
They're worse prepared than I am.
Están peor preparados que yo.
I think there's some slide.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is the control.
Okay, and this is also a thing that translates to films, is that if you want a happy scene or a romantic scene, it's like you try to keep as many shadows as possible out of the drawing.
Si en un cómic ustedes quieren poner una situación como romántica o expresar, darle como que el enfoque al personaje, lo que les recomiendo es dibujar mucha sombra alrededor del personaje.
Yeah. That's kind of stretched out. I can draw better than that.
Está un poco estirado, pero espero que lo puedan ver.
But see, it's like, okay, and this is another example of, first of all, in comic books, there should be, each one of the squares is called a panel. And there should be at least 4 panels on a page.
Ok, cada cuadro en un cómic se llama panel y por lo menos una página debe de llevar 4
Yeah.
paneles.
Because you're telling a story. You're not looking through a family photo album. Everything on that page is meant to move the story forward.
Sí, porque estás contando una historia, no estás viendo un álbum familiar. Entonces el chiste es que lleves al lector hacia la historia y conociendo la historia.
Yeah, and the general rule is between 4 and 9 panels on a page.
Okay, la regla general es tener entre 4 y 9 paneles por página.
Because you have to remember, comic books are printed about this size. And if you put more than 9 drawings on one page, they're so small that they're hard for your eye to understand.
Okay, si pones más de 9 paneles en una página, puede que se vea todo muy amontonado y es difícil para el lector leer el cómic.
Okay, and this is the exact opposite of the last drawing. This is a violent scene, and so there's lots of heavy shadows.
So in this type, you're trying to portray a heavier.
It's violence, and the more shadows you put in, and it's just like film. The scariest thing in a movie is the thing you don't see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cuando ustedes quieran mostrar las imágenes más duras, las escenas más fuertes o más violentas en un cómic, lo que se busca es precisamente meterle más sombras, que se vea oscuro, porque James dice que en una película de miedo, precisamente lo que te da miedo no lo puedes ver.
And in my case, it's like the sound effects, the boom, 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 boom. To me, those are part of the artwork, you know. Not with most comics, but to me, they're an essential part of the artwork.
Para James, todo lo que son los efectos que él retrata en sus cómics, por ejemplo, el efecto de boom de la pistola, él también lo considera parte importante de su arte. Algunos no lo consideran, pero para él es muy importante eso.
Most lettering in comic books is done on a computer now. I still do all my lettering right on the original drawing.
Wow. Él dice que casi todo lo que son los fonts o las letras que ocupan en los cómics ya se hacen a computadora, pero él lo sigue haciendo a mano.
Yes, I make mistakes and there is a lot of whiteout.
But I think that's what makes the comic even more special.
Yeah.
Tener esos pequeños errores creo que le da más vida y le pone más la firma y el sello del artista.
And because this is a violent, it's meant to move very fast, and it's very violent. That there's lots of chaos on the page. Like the camera angles shift constantly.
Como precisamente en este caso está tratando de poner una imagen muy violenta, pues ese es el efecto que quiere causar en el lector, right?
Yeah.
You want that the person that's reading it to feel
Right.
that scene.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's 9 panels on one page.
Y en este caso se puede ver cómo están los 9 paneles en una sola página.
So, and there's something we'll talk about that a little later, but there are in each panel there's a visual cue that leads your eye into the next panel. Like there's a shape or an angle that will lead your eye from panel to panel to panel, and then back down, and then up and down. And then,
So the shapes itself guide you, like this
Yes,
is next,
yes.
and then you have to move like
yes.
that. Okay, él
The
utiliza.
composition for a comic book page, basically, it's like we always start on the right-hand side because that's how we read, you know. So it's like you have to, right? You have to lead the person's eye from here to here to here, and then down to here, and then across again, and then down again.
Like a
And,
zigzag.
yes, yeah, and it's all built into the composition of the page, you know. I mean, right, really good artists and photographers, they understand that just instinctually, you know, that.
But you have to guide someone
Yeah,
that is
you
not.
have to guide their
Yeah,
eye
yeah.
across the page, you know.
Ok, James me pues está comentando que es importante tener en cuenta la composición de una página. Entonces lo que él trata es hacer formas que de una forma u otra guíen al lector para indicarle cómo va una escena y cuál es la que le sigue y cuál es la que le sigue y cuál vendría después. Y que eso es muy importante para que nosotros como lectores vayamos viendo cómo va desarrollándose la historia.
It's a language, a visual language that's very specific to comics. And it can be very difficult to learn when you're starting out, you know. But it's kind of like once you understand the rule, it's easy to follow.
Esto sí es como un reto para muchos artistas del cómic, porque él comparaba que hay muchos fotógrafos o ilustradores que obviamente están familiarizados con este orden o con esta secuencia de figuras o formas que nos guían y que nos indican qué escena sigue después, pero dice que de algún modo u otro, una vez que nosotros como lectores nos vamos familiarizando con estas formas, pues se va haciendo más fácil encontrar como que esa secuencia y cómo se va moviendo la historia.
And I don't know if this is a great page, but it's like it's 9 panels, but you can understand what's happening in every single panel, you know. It's clear what is happening.
Yeah, it's
Even though it's very chaotic.
Violent. Yeah, exactly. Él dice que a pesar de que pues se ve un poco amontonado, porque precisamente él dice que son 9 paneles, de algún modo u otro, dentro de todo el caos que vemos en la página, podemos entender qué está pasando en esta escena.
Okay, this is.
Yeah, you can continue.
Crib notes?
No, yeah, these are questions,
Okay.
and so you can continue, and then we'll make the questions at the end.
Okay, this is a technique I learned from films, not comic books. Most comic book artists don't do this, and it's, you know, they're visual metaphors.
Ok, esta es una técnica que él aprendió del cine y no del cómics. Es cómo introducir una metáfora visual.
Yeah, and in this sequence, Eric the Crow is preparing he's preparing to go kill a bunch of people, and he is going through his ritual of getting ready.
Okay.
And then I transpose that with a priest getting ready to give mass as a visual metaphor.
Ok, pues él está hablando que en esta escena en particular está retratando cómo el cuervo se prepara para precisamente matar a un montón de personas, y aquí está retratando ese ritual que tiene el cuervo.
But that's not something you see very often in comic books.
Well, because it's very difficult to just sort of portray a metaphor, right?
Yeah, and not to denigrate comics at all, but most comic books are written for 16-year-olds, you know, for teenagers. There's not a whole lot of, they're meant to entertain. They're not meant to make you stop and think, you know,
Yeah.
about what's happening.
Pues que esto casi es muy raro verlo en los cómics, retratar una metáfora, poner una metáfora visual. Esto es más que nada como apegado al cine y sobre todo él dice que pues obviamente los cómics están más enfocados a un público de 16, 18 años que pues no se toman como que esa molestia de tratar de encontrarle la profundidad a una historia, simplemente quieren leer la historia y ya.
Yeah, and in this one, the metaphor was that to both of these, to the priest and to Eric, what they are doing is holy to them. You know, death is holy to Eric.
Él dice que, sobre todo esta escena en especial, hace una comparación entre un cura o un padre con el cuervo, de cómo es ese ritual que tienen antes de dar pues el padre misa y el cuervo pues antes de matar a sus víctimas, pues se ve reflejado cómo es ese ritual y la importancia que tiene ese ritual tanto para el padre como para el cuervo.
And even if some people don't understand the metaphor, it's still a pretty picture.
It's beautiful, yeah. Inclusive si las personas no llegan a entender esa metáfora, de todos modos, pues se ve muy, muy genial el arte.
Yeah, I mean, a shotgun and a crucifix. Those are.
And using black and white, I mean,
Yes.
that's a challenge.
It is. It is. I prefer black and white because I have control over all the lighting and the shading and comic book coloring doesn't suit what I do. You know, they're very bright primary colors and it doesn't
It's
fit.
not your
It
style.
doesn't fit with what I do.
Él prefiere dibujar con blancos y negros precisamente porque puede controlar dónde está la luz, dónde está la sombra, que utilizar color para él no es su estilo, entonces él prefiere apegarse a lo que es blanco y negro.
Yeah, I just did a page at home where another character is approaching a building where there's going to be a gunfight, and I transposed that with a wolf that was hunting a sheep. Like I cut back and forth between those two things. You know, the intention is related, but the two sequences, you know, are separate. So that's a visual metaphor of, you know, the hunting of the prey.
Okay, so it's a man walking to a building?
A man's walking to a building where a lot of bad things are about to happen.
Okay. So, él está diciendo que apenas estaba trabajando en una escena donde un hombre se va aproximando a un edificio donde muchas cosas malas están a punto de pasar y lo compara con el proceso que tiene un lobo al irse aproximando a su presa. Entonces, a lo mejor para nosotros no sería, maybe for us it wouldn't be easy to get that metaphor,
Yeah,
right?
That one's very simple, yeah.
Yeah. Pero es más que nada el estilo de James de utilizar esas metáforas visuales en sus cómics.
Okay, this is something else that is very I don't think I invented it, but it's something that I like to use a lot, where the different techniques suggest something different. You know, like the first panel is done with watercolor, so that's suggesting a memory. You know, that's suggesting Eric thinking back. You know, the second panel is done in ink, hard line inks, and that means that's the present.
Wow, this is really amazing. I'm sorry, I'm just so amazed right now. Okay, él está diciendo que utiliza diferentes técnicas para representar.
The watercolor, it gives it kind of a dreamy
like
feel.
Blurry.
Yeah.
Él utiliza diferentes técnicas para representar diferentes escenas. Como en el primer panel está utilizando acuarelas para representar una memoria. algo que ya fue, que está en el pasado. Y en el siguiente panel utiliza la técnica de, pues con el estilógrafo, con tinta, con muchas líneas, muy claro para representar el presente.
So it's easy to show shifts in time without saying, you know, like
Present, past.
yeah, 1 year ago, right now, you know, and it's the same thing with the bottom two panels. He's remembering his cat. You know, the cat represents his love for Shelley. Their bond.
Ya, pues él sigue comentando lo mismo, que el uso de diferentes técnicas para representar cosas como el pasado y el presente sin tener que ser muy obvio, ¿no? Porque hay en algunos cómics donde se puede ver que ponen hace un año o en el presente, ¿no? Entonces, esto creo que they make you think a little bit more, you know, it makes you reflect, like what time it is.
And on top of that, it's like the fence in front of the cat signifies he no longer has access to that love.
Y en este caso, pues la reja enfrente del gato significa que pues ya no tiene acceso a ese amor que obtenía de pues su mascota. So that's very sad, but it's really cool how you portray that. I'm amazed.
And the last panel, it's present because it's all in hard ink lines. And that's just, you know, those two memories are causing him pain, you know, and that's exactly what the last panel represents is unbearable pain.
So everything, the composition of everything ends in the last one, representing pain.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so en la última se ve cómo la conexión de las tres primeras causa un resultado en la última, que gracias a todos los recuerdos, tanto del pasado y cosas que están pasando en el presente, en la última, representado con la técnica de las líneas gruesas con tinta china, pues le está causando dolor. Entonces, it's really amazing to see these kind of techniques. Flipping out.
It's nothing happens by accident in a comic book. Even shitty comic books, you know, even bad comic books. It's like nothing happens by accident. Somebody had to draw every single thing in there, you know. Probably they don't think about it as much as I do, about what the images mean, but it's like, not, you know, for the longest time, people used to think machines drew comic books. They never even thought that there were artists doing that.
They thought they were just printed.
Yeah, they never thought about an artist sitting at a drawing board, planning it out, and then penciling it, and then inking it, but you know, now everyone understands there are artists, you know, that produce this stuff, and most of them don't think about the context or I want to reach people. Everything I do is on an emotional level. You know, I want people to look at my drawing and feel something. Not look at it and go, oh, that's a great drawing, or that's, you know, oh, that's a really clever composition. I want them to look at it and feel something.
Pues él habla de cómo inclusive antes las personas pensaban que los comic books eran hechos con máquinas, no consideraban que había un artista detrás, y por eso él se refiere y él comenta que todo en un cómic pasa por algo, nada está hecho al azar, inclusive en los cómics que son basura, también están planeados de manera cuidadosa, cada línea, cada dibujo, cada escena.
And in the top panel, I get asked this a lot, so in the book, Eric takes a razor and cuts himself. And people ask me, why is he doing that? He cuts his arms all up and then puts electrical tape over it to hold his arms back together. And the idea behind that is that he wanted some physical pain to match the pain in his
Emotional.
soul. Yeah, to match his emotional pain.
Y pues él dice que
And that's the blood smeared on the wall is after he's cut it.
it's really good and depressive, but really good.
I may have problems.
No, we all have. Él está diciendo que él trata de que en todos sus cómics la gente sienta algo, que no solamente sea ver el arte y qué bonito está el dibujo, sino realmente sientan algo. Y menciona que en el cómic de el personaje principal, Eric, se corta las venas con una navaja y después se amarra la herida con cinta eléctrica. Entonces, que le preguntaban que por qué hacía eso, ¿no? Y él decía que pues el personaje quería sentir un poco de dolor físico para contrarrestar el dolor emocional. Entonces creo que cada quien, but it's really good.
This is the scene as it is happening. So it's all in hardline ink. There's no watercolor.
The present.
Right.
Aquí vuelve a utilizar la técnica con la tinta china, las líneas muy gruesas para que la gente identifique que estamos en el presente.
Yeah. And it's 9 panels again.
Igual 9 paneles.
And it's things are happening very fast, and things are disintegrating in this scene fast. You know, things are going. First they had car trouble, you know, and it's like, oh, that's too bad. Well, then things start to get worse and worse and worse as the pages go along, and.
So this is the beginning of that sequence of things.
This is the beginning of like the most terrible sequence in the book.
Aquí está mostrando cómo empieza una de las escenas más, la secuencia de las escenas más difíciles para el personaje y de cómo va empezando una cosa mala y empieza a traer otra y así y se desencadena pues lo que es el clímax de la historia.
Right. And there's ways to like manipulate is the wrong word, but there's ways to kind of tease the reader. Like all the bad guys are in the car in the third panel, but we don't know who they are yet because they're still in the car. But each of them is saying something. You know, in the word balloons. Those are called word balloons.
So they're building the story.
So yeah, it's adding tension panel by panel by panel.
And adds up. Okay.
Yeah.
Aquí en cada escena pues se va viendo cómo van pasando las cosas rápidas, cómo hay varios personajes, cada personaje tiene una burbuja de diálogo y se ve como poco a poco se va aumentando la tensión en la historia.
And by the last panel, Eric realizes that this is beyond his control. You know, he can see that nothing good is going to come of this. You know,
y en la escena.
So he almost has a relaxed pose in the last.
Okay,
panel.
because he's out of his control.
Yeah. This is there. Like, this is going to be bad, and there's not anything I can do about it.
Okay, y en la última escena podemos ver cómo Eric se da cuenta que toda la situación está fuera de su control. Entonces dibujo una pose como un poco relajada precisamente para expresar eso, que la situación está fuera de las manos del personaje principal.
And it's not an accident that the trees in the background form a cross behind him.
Y pues si lo habían notado o no, que no es un accidente, no es que las hojas y los árboles formen una cruz en la parte de atrás.
Okay, this is what I was talking about, how you have to lead your eye around the page. And it's like, in this first panel, See, the first thing you look at is you see Eric's back in the drawing. And then you go up, you see his face, you read what the caption says, and then it goes across to her.
So the dialogue is guiding
Yeah,
you to the
not
next.
always, but
Okay.
sometimes, you know. And then, actually, it's the curve of her jaw in the second panel. See the line, it pulls your eye back down here.
Back again. Pues él está mencionando de cómo la composición en la escena no es, the composition, right? No es a propósito. En la primera vemos, pues primero la espalda del personaje, nos guía hacia su rostro, inmediatamente a la burbuja de diálogo, que nos guía a la siguiente imagen donde está la mujer, y de ahí la curva que tiene inclusive, is this the curve in the hair or the eyes? O the chin, la curva en la barba, la barbilla.
It's not always a straight line like
Yeah.
that. Sometimes it'll be curved.
Ok. Nos guía hacia el siguiente. Entonces él dice que ese movimiento a veces varía, no siempre es con una burbuja de diálogo, pero esas figuras o esas líneas sutiles es lo que nos va a ir guiando para saber cómo se lee la historia.
Yeah, and in the middle panel, it's the shades help too, but it's like Eric is talking to Shelley in the bathtub, and so your eye goes straight across to Shelley, and then her foot in the shape of the bathtub, or curve of the bathtub, pushes your eye down to the next panel.
Ahí igual en la segunda vemos cómo Eric está hablando con Shelley y precisamente la dirección del cuerpo nos indica hacia dónde va el diálogo, hacia dónde va la escena, y luego la curva en la tina nos baja a la siguiente escena. It's brilliant. It looks really cool.
And the bottom two panels, when you repeat an image, that slows down the time. Like this is
To give a little pause.
it allows a moment to be stretched out for a few moments.
To enjoy the moment a little bit more.
And because they're talking, and you don't necessarily need to see what they're talking about, you know, and
So it's a resource to repeat
Yeah.
the drawing. Okay.
yeah.
Él está hablando de cómo repetir una escena o un dibujo es un recurso para darnos un poco más tiempo para disfrutar esa escena.
I think that's all, and then we can answer some questions.
Okay, so now that was it.
Someone's pregnant?
We have some questions. Please give it an applause to Jane because that was really cool. Un aplauso porque la verdad, wow, you're really good. I'm surprised, I'm shocked. Okay, so James, we have some questions from the audience. And this first one says, what do you think is the most important factor in a horror story? ¿Cuál es el factor más importante en una historia de terror?
Well, I mean, there's all different kinds of horror, but for me, it's not the actual horror itself; it's the build up to it. It's the dread that the writer or the artist can make you feel before you get to that.
So it's not like boo from the beginning, it's building the story.
That boo, that's a cheap trick.
Okay.
To make you afraid of what's going to happen.
It's slow.
That's a real talent.
Ok, que en una historia de terror lo importante es ir como construyendo ese suspenso. Esa técnica de espantar al lector desde la primera escena es un truco barato. Entonces lo importante es como que de poco a poco ir construyendo la historia y subiendo y aumentando el suspenso. Ok, another question. ¿Hay algún personaje que haya ideado pero no lo pudo publicar? Have you done a character, created a character but you haven't published it?
Yeah, I mean, I have projects I'm working on all the time. I won't work for Marvel or DC. No matter how much money they throw at me, I'm just not interested because it's not
You're
my
true
character.
to
It's not my
yourself.
character. I don't have anything I can say with that. And I'm not going to work on anything I don't own, you know. And because I do everything myself, I write it, I draw it, I ink it, I even letter it. It takes so much effort that it has to be something personal for me, you know.
Pues él dice que siempre está trabajando constantemente en algo, que le han ofrecido cosas con Marvel, con DC, pero no está interesado en esas cosas, no es por el dinero. Si él va a trabajar en algún proyecto, tiene que ser algo que le apasione, ya que él hace todo, desde escribir la historia, el dibujo, entintar la historia e inclusive pues las letras como nos lo mostró. Another question.
But yeah, I have two books I'm working on right now that hopefully one will be out next year.
Anything you can tell us, or is it secret?
Well, it's like, I mean, I'm still attracted to all the same things that are in The Crow, so it's going to be dark, atmospheric, extremely violent, and overly romantic.
Ok. Él está trabajando en dos proyectos en este momento. A possible movie, right? A movie also. Algo que tiene que ver con películas y lo más probable es que sea como que de la misma temática, ¿no? Con mucha violencia, con mucho drama, pero también como que raramente romántico. Another question says, what was it like to put your pain in a comic?
Well, it was kind of kind of my diary. Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry. ¿Cómo fue poner tu dolor en un cómic? Sorry.
well, I thought of it as kind of my personal diary where I could work out the issues I was having with life and death, and
Like a therapy
yes,
thing.
like a personal therapy thing. Get all my anger out on paper so I didn't hurt myself or other people.
Pues él utilizó su dolor para escribir El Cuervo de una manera como un tipo diario. Y de esa manera pues sacar como que ese dolor y mejor sacar ese enojo en el papel y no consigo mismo.
Yeah. And the great thing about that is if you're writing or drawing for yourself, you're not going to lie to yourself. So there's truth in there. You know, you're exposing yourself. So I never write for an audience. I always write for me,
yourself.
you know, because I'm no different than anybody else. We all feel the same things. So.
Yeah. Él dice que considera que es más importante escribir cosas que a él le apasionen, por eso él lo está sacando ahí, ¿no? Él saca todos sus sentimientos y que cuando uno escribe para sí mismo, porque él escribe para él, no puedes mentir, no te puedes mentir a ti mismo. Entonces, de esa manera pues utilizó su dolor para crear el cómic. Okay. What do you think about people that have found inspiration in your comic? ¿Qué opinas de la gente que ha encontrado inspiración en su obra? Inspiration, like people that found you or see you as an inspiration to create your own stuff.
Well, I think it's amazing that, I mean, every single place I go, every single show I do, someone tells me, thank you, you know, like you helped me through a hard time, and you know, and I'm very appreciative that I could be there, you know, for them at that point. But you know, it was like, to me, um, it was like Joy Division. The band Joy Division was that for me. It was like
Your
I found,
inspiration.
I found that music right when I needed to hear it, you know. And yeah, it's horribly depressing music, but for the first time, I felt like I wasn't alone. Like someone else
felt you could
understood how I
breathe.
felt. Yeah.
Pues él dice que está muy agradecido que otras personas lo consideren una inspiración, que siempre van a sus shows, van a verlo y le agradecen, y él está muy agradecido por eso, y que para él su inspiración fue Joy Division, que él considera que es una música muy depresiva, pero estuvo para él, para ayudarlo, para darle como que ese respiro cuando él lo necesitó. Another question says, how would you describe your creative process? ¿Cómo describirías tu proceso creativo?
Like I said, I approach everything on an emotional level. Like I want it to make me feel a certain way, because then I know I've succeeded and other people will feel that too. Because I'm no different than anyone else here.
So
I like the same things. I'm afraid of the same things. You know, we all love someone, and we're all going to lose someone. So.
So you find that portraying your feelings, it's a very important part of your
It's
creative
almost
process.
the, you know, and here I'm going to use another music metaphor. You know, it's like, I could sit home and paint pretty pictures of bunnies and rainbows and stuff like that, and I'm sure they would be good, you know. But that's not what I want to do. That's not what I'm drawn to. And in music, it's like everybody loves a good pop song, you know. Everybody likes a song they can sing along to in the car. But then they forget about it until they hear it on the radio 20 years later, you know. But a song that makes you cry, you're going to remember that song forever.
Wow, yeah, I'm very related to that. Él dice que pues parte importante de su proceso creativo es poner sus sentimientos en su arte, en su obra, ya que él está comparando precisamente los cómics con una canción pop. Una canción pop la escuchas y te va a gustar al principio y la vas a disfrutar, pero después la llegas a olvidar. Una canción que te hace llorar, que te hace sufrir, la vas a recordar por siempre. Entonces a él no le importa si pone sus sentimientos en la página, para él es parte importante de su proceso creativo. Okay, ¿hay algo que no le haya gustado del Cuervo? Is there something you don't like about the Crow?
I mean, I did it in the 80s, so there's certain things that make me cringe a little bit, like some of the fashions, and I mean, that was what it was back then, but I look back on it now and it's just like,
Why did I put
yeah,
that?
yeah. Like this one bad guy's wearing a white glove like Michael Jackson, and I'm like, I wish I could just tear that page out.
Bueno, lo único que no le ha gustado es que hay algunas cosas que obviamente por la época pues ya no las puede cambiar. Como el Cuervo se escribió en los 80s, pues la moda de ese tiempo pues fue parte del cómic. Entonces él menciona algún personaje que tiene un guante blanco como el de Michael Jackson y ahora lo vuelve a ver y es como de, ¿por qué dibujé eso?
But I mean, people were doing that back then, you know, the gangs in Detroit, some of the gangs wore a white glove, so, it's, you know.
Yeah, it was part of the time.
Yeah, you can't predict what's gonna, you know, be laughable in 25 years. So.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know, you don't see the future. Pues sí que lo único que no le gustaba es usar la moda de aquellos tiempos.
But the fact that it's been in print nonstop for 35 years,
That means you did
means
something
that I
good.
didn't make too many mistakes.
Exactly. Pues el hecho de que se siga imprimiendo, pues quiere decir que a pesar de toda esa moda de los 80s, pues sigue siendo exitoso. ¿Qué es lo que más te ha sorprendido respecto al impacto cultural de tu novela gráfica? What's the thing that has surprised you the most about the cultural impact that your graphic novel has had in the world?
I mean, I try to keep. I'm still just me. I'm the same person, so I don't. It's like that's something separate than me, you know, like the movie and the references, and I still get like. I was watching an episode of Law and Order a couple weeks ago, and they had they needed a guy that could hack a computer, so they brought in this kid, and they asked the kid, "What's your name?" And he says, "Just call me the Crow from the greatest movie ever made." And I'm like, did I just hear a Crow reference on Law and Order?
That's pretty cool. Ok, él dice que no le da tanta importancia, él sigue siendo él, pero que el otro día estaba viendo la serie de Law and Order y estaban buscando un hacker o había un hacker y al hacker le preguntan pues cuál era su nombre y el hacker dice pues soy el Cuervo, inspirado en la mejor novela gráfica que se ha creado en el mundo. Entonces él se sorprende que haya ese tipo de referencias en la televisión.
It's fun to see like South Park and the Venture Brothers and see all those people that like the film, you know, to see their little references in their cartoons.
Oh, but that means you did something really good. I mean, not anyone can be named in Law and Order or things like that. Ok, la siguiente pregunta, ¿cómo fue para él el impacto de la película del Cuervo a comparación de la novela gráfica? What impact did the movie had compared to the graphic novel, the Crow movie?
No, I mean, the book sold well before the movie, but after the movie came out and people wanted to see where it came from, then the sales were just incredible, you know. I think it's over 1 million copies worldwide, and it's in 14 different languages. And, so it's and for some reason, I think because of Brandon's death, even with the film, people inextricably link me with the film too. Almost like I'm Brandon's stand-in, you know, like, so...
You're connected to him in some
Yeah.
way. Pues él habla que lo más impactante fue que antes de la película, pues su libro se estaba vendiendo bastante bien, pero pues después de la película, obviamente con el boom de lo que fue la película, de lo que le pasó al actor, pues las ventas se dispararon y pues hubo más de 1 millón de copias vendidas, se tradujo en más de 14 idiomas, entonces, y de alguna otra forma la gente después lo empezó como que a relacionar mucho con Brandon. Entonces, pues ese fue como que el impacto más grande. Como creador, ¿puedes compartirnos si el personaje te habla cuando lo estás dibujando? Okay, this is a good one. As a creator, well, for me, I think it's a good question.
Once a day, usually in the shower.
Oh, do you got the question? Okay, as a creator, can you share us if the character speaks to you when you're drawing it?
Well, I mean, any good writer will tell you that they are all the characters, you know. Eric is me. It's, very, very much so, And Shelley was my fiance at the time. And a lot of that dialogue is 100% true.
Your story.
Yeah.
Pues,
But I'm
yeah.
also I also have some of the bad guys. I have some of them in me too.
Pues él dice que como tal no es que le hablen, sino que él es sus personajes. Él es Eric, su prometida era Shelley. Varios de los diálogos que están en la historia fueron cosas que realmente pasaron y que inclusive hay veces que en los chicos malos, en los personajes, en los villanos, también se ve reflejado él. Okay, what do you think about the What do you think about the current industry of comic? ¿Qué opinas de la industria actual del cómic?
What do I think about the current
Like,
comic book industry?
Yeah.
It's sad and pathetic. Right now in America, and I'm sure everywhere, I'm sure here too, it's like 90% of all comic books are subservient to the movies. You know, they only exist as promotion for movies now. They're not telling any new stories. They're all their creativity has drained out of it. They're just a cheap promotional device until they get a new movie out.
Pues que es triste y patético.
And San Diego Comic-Con is a perfect example of that because it's been taken over by the movie studios.
Porque ahora ya no, pues la mayoría de los artistas, tanto en Estados Unidos como aquí, ya no se utiliza, ya no sacan como que el cómic para contar la historia, ya está siendo como una referencia para una película. Entonces sale la película y entonces empiezan a sacar el cómic pues para vender y para promocionar la película, no para que el cómic tenga vida por sí solo. What do you think are the major influences which comic books have had on video games?
I don't know anything about video games. I played Pong once.
Que no sabe nada de videojuegos, solamente jugó Pong una vez.
I would rather read a book.
Okay,
Yeah.
prefiere leer un libro.
Okay, I have a funny story.
Okay, tell us.
I was visiting my brother. I have a brother. And he was sitting there playing Grand Theft Auto.
I played that.
And I was sitting on the couch, bored out of my mind because I don't play video games. So I'm watching my brother play Grand Theft Auto, and he takes his car and he's running from the police, and he drives up on the sidewalk and runs over a prostitute, and
Very violent.
yeah, and he looks over at me and it says, "This must be pretty boring when you've done this in real life."
Wow. Ok, tiene una historia graciosa que a una ocasión en la casa de su hermano estaban preparándose para jugar Grand Theft Auto. Los que ya lo han jugado saben que es un juego muy violento. Y pues que su hermano estaba, el personaje principal, montado en un carro, arrollando a la gente, y en una de las partes del juego arrollaba a una prostituta. Entonces en eso se voltea a su hermano y le dice: de esto para ti debe ser muy aburrido ya que tú lo has hecho en la vida real.
I never ran over a prostitute, but I have run from the police.
Okay. How old were you when you created this comic?
I'll just say it was 1981.
Okay, en 1981. 81? Yeah.
1981,
Sí, 81.
And it took 8 years to finish it.
Y tomó 8 años en terminarse. Okay. There have been some chatting about, or some rumors about remaking The Crowd. How true it is, and are you working on that?
Well, I was up until about 6 months ago, and then there was as soon as Jason Momoa signed on to do it, everybody got greedy and started suing each other. So until all those lawsuits are settled, it's on hold. So
Okay, so Jason was gonna be the Crow now.
Jason, yeah.
Okay.
Aquaman.
Yeah, I know.
Aqua Crow Hunger Force.
Pues que sí había rumores de que se iba a hacer un remake de la película y que ya se tenía a Jason Momoa, Aquaman, como el personaje del Cuervo, pero pues empezaron a surgir algunos problemas y ahorita está como detenido el proyecto.
It'll still happen eventually, but whether I'll be involved or not remains to be seen.
Todavía puede que se vaya a realizar, pero pues no hay como una respuesta. I'm sorry, it's just the handwriting, it's a little bit messy and I can
Then
understand.
ask me a personal question.
Okay, why did you decide to start making comics? What motivated you to say, I want to create stories through a comic book? Can I translate? Bueno, le pregunté que qué fue lo que lo inspiró para empezar a hacer cómics o contar historias por medio de un cómic.
I love movies, I love film, so I really wanted to make movies, but the amount of money and resources it takes to make a film are so prohibitive, and you have to work with hundreds of other people, and that means one compromise after another, because not everyone's going to have the same passion for something you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And with comics, I have complete control over everything. I can make my own little movies on paper. I'm the director of photography. I get to pick the actors I want.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
get to
cool.
write the script.
Pues que a él siempre le han gustado las películas, pero pues por obvias razones, pues es muy difícil y es muy costoso hacer películas. Entonces el comic book le da esa libertad de poder contar sus historias, de ser el escritor, de ser el director de fotografía, de hacer el casting para sus personajes. Entonces pues es más fácil contar historias por medio de comic books para él.
But I do hope my bucket list does have directing at least one film before.
Okay. Uno de los metas que tiene en su lista es dirigir o hacer una película algún día. So we're gonna be waiting for your movie.
It will be good, believe me.
Okay. Oh, we know. Okay, the last question. Have you ever thought of changing a character that becomes, in the good side, or vice versa, to make it to be, like a bad guy, or if it's a bad guy, to make it a good one, and vice versa?
I don't believe, no villain thinks he's a villain, so there's lots of gray areas in there. I mean, and Eric is no hero, He kills everyone in the room, he's not a hero. So I prefer to play in those gray areas,
Yeah, not every bad is 100%
yeah, there's
bad.
no such thing as an absolute good or an absolute evil, Yeah, everything is different shades of gray.
Pues que él considera que no todos los malos son malos, que hay muchas tonalidades de gris entre alguien bueno y alguien malo, que inclusive Eric no es un héroe, ya que pues asesina a muchas personas. Entonces no hay 100% alguien bueno o 100% alguien malo.
Well, actually, I might like to amend that statement that Trump is absolute evil.
Ok, la excepción a la regla es Trump. Él sí es malo. That's it? We still have time? Or do you want to add something else? Are you enjoying your experience here in Mexico?
Yeah, it's a really, really beautiful city, and because I never heard of Puebla before, and I've been to Mexico City and Hermosillo. Did I say that right? And Monterrey and a lot of the border cities, but we won't talk about those. And So I'm really amazed at what a beautiful city it is, and the university is amazing, you know.
Well, you're welcome
It's
as
like
many
a
times as you want.
world-class university.
Oh, yeah, totally. Pues es su primera vez aquí en Puebla, ha estado en México, ha visitado México, pero pues le sorprende lo hermoso que es Puebla y pues le sorprende también la universidad. Entonces, démosle un fuerte aplauso a James, por favor.
Thank you guys for coming.